Over the last year, I've taken a bit of a break from business and been focusing on creativity, specifically on developing some of my music skills. Now, I have a background of about 12 years of piano lessons, and I have been teaching myself chords and how to play extemporaneously and different things like that. And through this process, I've learned some things that I think would be valuable to you if you have something inside you that you want to put out into the world in whatever form. Maybe you want to write a book, or maybe you want to produce a video, or maybe you want to make a movie, or maybe you want to deliver a speech or teach class or whatever. There's something inside you. You feel like God is leading you to share a message and you want to put it out there in some specific form. What I've learned over this last year in pursuing my creativity and things and really just kind of free flowing with it could be helpful for you. So I'm going to give you a little bit of an example of a principle that I have discovered that I call the structure chaos principle of creativity. And if you want to look at maybe two sides of a scale, on one side of the scale is very structured and the other side is chaos. And this principle works whether you're talking about freedom in a country or freedom in a lifestyle, or whether freedom with creativity or freedom in your spirituality, or however you want to express yourself in the world. If you get too structured, you get kind of boxed in. And if you get too much chaos, then things are just, well, they're chaotic, right? So let me give you an example. I grew up taking piano lessons. My mother started me when I was 5 with Helen Rogers down in Daisy, Tennessee, taking piano lessons. And Helen Rogers taught me how to play what was written on the page. And she was very good at teaching a small child of 5 how to read notes and play what was there. Now, her philosophy with music is you play what's written on the page. You don't add to it, you don't take away from it, you play what's written on the page. If you miss notes, you go back and you go back and correct that, play it again, get it right. Very much about perfection of performance of what's written on the page. Okay, so I took lessons till I was 17 and broke my arm and couldn't take piano lessons anymore. But over the years, I had occasion to be able to use that piano ability, and I started playing for the church choir when I was 18 years old. And I learned very quickly that you can't go back and fix mistakes and make it all perfect when people are singing. You got to keep going. You got to keep up the pace. And so I would drop notes if I needed to keep up the pace. If I couldn't read the notes fast enough and get them all the fingers in the right place, well, I'd just keep going, try to keep the melody going. And so I played piano for church for years that way. And then when I was about 47 years old, my dad found this chords course that he's like, you really need to learn to play with chords, Marty. You really need to play with chords. Because all this time I'm playing only what's written on the page. I'm not varying. I'm not going off the page. So I started learning a little bit of chords, and I started implementing some of what I knew about the chords into the hymns that I played, just to kind of ad-lib them a little bit, but I didn't do a whole lot. I was very much in the structure. If it wasn't on the page, I wasn't going to go too jiggy with it. I went through a divorce, and something happened during that process where I just started to sit down at the piano and just play whatever came. And that was the first time I had the guts to really just play what was inside of me, not parroting what was on the page. And so I just started playing free-flowing stuff, and I learned pretty quickly that I didn't have the knowledge that I needed about music. I didn't have enough chord skills. And so I went back and started studying. Over this last year, I really have dug in to studying chords and how they work and chord progressions and things like that. And I've still got a lot to learn. I understand it a world better. So I'm going to give you an example of a hymn. I'm going to play it, and I'm going to play it with straight off the page for you. Okay, that's exactly the way I was taught to play. And then I'm going to show you one where I've altered it a little bit, and my creativity is able to come into it. So there's just a little bit of this, not in the box, but this free-flowing creativity. And I'm going to show you the contrast between the two. that was straight off the page. Now we're going to add a little bit to it. Okay, so you may be wondering, what does this have to do with you and your message and your creativity and everything? And that is that you need to be able to find that sweet spot balance between understanding the rules and the structure and being open to inspiration, personal revelation about where to take your message, where to take your creativity, how to make it your own. This piece became something that was a little bit more mine. It was actually inspired, pieces of it were inspired by another variation I'd heard before that I just picked out by ear, but then some of it's my own. You're able to aggregate, pull things together, make things new when you do that. But you don't want to throw the rules out completely. And I've noticed people do this sometimes, especially in their spirituality. Maybe they grow up in a faith with a religious background, and they follow that religious background so rigidly, and it becomes something that they feel is confining and limits their ability to really do things. And then they hit this point where they just want to go, bag it. I'm not even going to do this anymore. Maybe some people go to, I don't even believe in God anymore. I don't believe in Jesus Christ anymore. There aren't all these rules. They throw the rules completely out. And then they're trying to still play through life in a successful way. And they may be able to do it for a while, because I believe it's a pendulum swing. You know, if you've gotten wound too tight with rules and rigidity, you want to fling off. And I've done the same thing with music. A lot of times I don't want to read music when I'm sitting down to play. I rarely sit down and put a piece of music in front of me. Instead, I'll just go completely free-flowing and just do my own thing. You know, you can't go completely without the rules. At least I've learned the basics of music, and now I can create some good pieces of music because I understand the basics, the fundamentals. And life has fundamentals. God gave us commandments not because he was trying to confine us any more than we have chords because they're meant to confine us. They're not, the chords on the piano are not meant to confine us. They're just there, okay? They exist. They're there. And if we understand them, which keys sound good together, then we're going to make better music than if we start doing very dissonant combinations of keys and everything. You know, if I'm just sitting here just pounding on things with keys that don't sound good, you're going to have a very dissonant piece of music. And while some people may like that, or it might have an appropriate place in a certain segment of the music, you don't want a whole piece of just somebody just, you know, this is just chaos. If you don't know the notes, you're just, if you don't know how to combine the notes in a beautiful way, then nobody's going to want to listen to that. So I look at the way God has given us commandments as these are guidelines to make some really pretty music in life. If you will just stay within these bounds that I set on the way happiness goes, you'll be happier. Your life will be easier. You won't have as much chaos. You won't have as much drama, and you won't have as much cringing dissonance in your life if you will follow these rules. They're not meant to confine you, and there are times when you throw out the rules. There are times when you might say, well, you know, this piece of music requires something a little more dissonant in it. You know, I'm going to do that on purpose with intention, you know, and then resolve it to something that is, you know, to show that relief that comes when you come back to something that's in harmony. There are times that the Spirit guides you to do something that may look like it's not what the good girl would do, you know. If the Spirit guides you to do that, fine. But I don't believe the Spirit guides us in general to just totally toss out all the rules and all the commandments that are just like, okay, I'm looking for ways to break every commandment that God puts out there, because that's, I'm more woke. I've graduated beyond the need for God. I don't need God. I don't need Jesus. I don't need these rules, because I'm, more progressive. Really, it's an anarchy. It's a state of anarchy to do that. Eventually, it's going to swing to something where your life is going to bear the fruit of that anarchy, and it won't be beautiful anymore. You may be able to do it for a while, but eventually you're going to swing back, and you're probably going to find that happy balance, between structure and free-flowing creativity. That sweet spot where you have enough understanding of how to receive your own personal revelation and how to go within the bounds that the Lord has set. So think about that in terms of everything, really. We do this with government. If you throw out all the rules in a society, you've got anarchy. And you need to have a little bit of structure, but also the freedom to pursue different interests and things. And that's the beauty of the way our founding fathers structured our country, is to have that balance between the two, so that that's why we have so much progress and technology and development and things, because people have enough freedom, and then there's also enough rules and structure in place so that freedom is fostered in that way. You can't have freedom and complete chaos. Follow the structure, yet have the creativity and the inspiration to make something uniquely you. Do it with your life, do it with your creativity, do it with everything. Y'all take care. God bless.